Alright, what's up guys? I am in my yard again. The dog's out here trying to play fetch, so I'm sure she'll make an appearance and make some noises as we're going, but I put together a video 2 different times, and this is going to be the 3rd time. I'm going to post this one no matter what. I wanted to change some stuff on the first one. The second one I thought was good, I just didn't get it posted, and then it's been a little while, and so I just wanted to revisit it. But what I'm going to go over is first aid kit. Now this is not a backcountry hunting first aid kit, obviously. It's a big kit, but I think everyone should have a big first aid kit in your vehicle, especially if you're going into the mountains a lot by yourself or with your kids or your family, even if you just travel a lot. I think everyone should have a good first aid kit. And the first thing I'm going to say, because other people will say it, most people are going to tell you, buy your own bag, buy everything for your first aid kit. That way you buy what you need, what you want, what you know how to use. I agree, but I have first aid kits scattered throughout multiple vehicles. I'm required to carry one in my work truck. I keep one in my personal truck. My Jeep has one. My wife's vehicle has one. I used to have one in my Rhino. I have some stuff in my toolbox in my shop. I have stuff in the house. So it just kind of became, I had tons of stuff scattered throughout tons of different vehicles, and I really just wanted to condense it down. And a lot of that stuff is expired because occasionally, eventually, stuff goes bad, or something gets ripped open on accident. And I just, instead of piecing everything back together, I just decided I was going to buy a kit. Now, one of the big reasons is this kit is super affordable versus what you're going to pay for some other kits out there. There's some companies out there that their kit that would be sort of similar to this are, 3, 4, 5 times the price. I mean, obviously there's kits you can buy out there that are $1,000 for a first aid kit. One big thing I'm going to say is get some first aid and CPR training. You can learn a ton of stuff if you've never had that. Most companies will encourage you to get that, or if you just approach them and say, hey, I would like to get this, they're going to be stoked about that. Where I work, the field I work in, you're required to take that every 2 years. You're required to be up to date. Guiding, I'm required to have my CPR stuff and first aid stuff up to date. So obviously there's more to it than just having it for your own personal use. It's a big bonus to you. So knowing how to use what you have obviously is one of the biggest things that's going to help you at any given time, knowing how to approach it. So yeah, getting just a basic first aid and CPR is a good idea. There's lots you can learn from YouTube or extra classes. Sheepdog Response has like a tactical emergency not CPR, but medical class. You can do anything like that. You can take it as far as you want to go. But I think a kit like this is great because even if you don't entirely know what to do, say you pull up on a car wreck and you aren't sure what to do, you can at least have a kit that possibly someone who pulls up alongside you knows how to use some of this also. That's one bonus of having more stuff than you personally have experience with. If you don't know how to use a tourniquet, but you pull up on a wreck and somebody's ripped their arm, almost off, and they're bleeding out through their arm and you're not sure what to do, well, the guy who pulls up next to you does know how to use a tourniquet and for some reason doesn't have one. You might save a life because of that. So that's the one thing with the only pack what you know how to use is obviously there's an occasion where you won't know how to use it, someone else will. Yeah, it's kind of that what if scenario, like backpacking. You don't want to dive down the what if scenario because your pack will weigh 80 pounds. Well, or you're keeping this in a truck, moving it from vehicle to vehicle, or even keeping it in like your everyday bag. And that's not a huge thing to throw in your everyday bag. It's not tiny, but you're not packing it on your back every single day, through the mountains. So that's why I don't mind having something a little heavier built, even if you don't know how to use it. Now, this is a kit. This is the Adventure Medical Sportsman 400. I'm like, I know it says it. Sportsman 400. They say it's built for 10 people for 14 days. And then it's got like a little thing, like shooting, hunting, fishing, camping, four-wheeling, and that's exactly why I like this kit. You know, say you throw this in your truck and you and your family love going on four-wheeler rides, you can throw this on a four-wheeler. Say you go ride horses a lot, you can throw this in, you know, a panniard or something if you've got a pack train with you. It's just something you can take with you lots of places. And it's just, yeah, I like that it's small and it has a lot of stuff, and we're going to go over a bunch of features on this. And the reason one of the biggest reasons is this is a super affordable kit. So I'm going to show this real quick. Hopefully you can kind of get an idea. It actually shows what each section in this bag, so it's a trifold, and this shows in each section what each thing's got. So like your very bottom, it's got a filled trauma pack, it's a removable pack, and it's got tourniquet, trauma bandage, shears, some other stuff in it. You've got a first aid manual that it throws in here, which is a great thing to have, because if you're slightly uncomfortable or you're not entirely sure what you're looking at, you know, maybe somebody's acting kind of funky, they've actually got an assessment form you can go through, and you've got a first aid manual to maybe help you understand better. Or, you know, if you're not entirely, you know, your first aid classes are every 2 years. Say you take your class and then nothing happens for a year, you might be a little uncomfortable, and this can help you reassure yourself. So that's the very bottom, is the filled trauma pack, and then there's the first aid manual. The center is called fractures and sprains. It's got a C-splint, elastic bandage, some bandages, triangular bandage, some duct tape. Then in the top, it's kind of like a normal first aid kit, right? The things you're gonna commonly run into, and it's a tri-slide. Basically, you've got 3 sections in that top piece. You've got a medication in one, thermometer, single use, some afterbites, ibuprofen, aspirin. I've thrown allergy pills in here. Then the middle one is wound care. You've got a wound irrigation tool, some closure strips, band-aid, or not band-aids, gauze, another set of gloves, Q-tips, stuff like that in there, just taking care of like a deeper wound. And then the last one is cuts and scrapes, band-aids, antiseptic wipes, alcohol swabs, stuff like that. So like I said, I do like that. I like that it's a quick, easy kit where you can see what to get into. Now, I'm not going to rip out everything in here just because that would add a lot of time and pain in the ass, because I tried that on the first video and it was not good. I am, however, going to go over, I have added things to this kit. I went and got, from some of my other first aid kits, burn gel was something that wasn't in here that I think is super handy, super easy to get burned. You know, if you're riding four-wheelers and somebody's not paying attention, walks up, hits the exhaust, car accident, someone could get burned from a hot part of the vehicle coming in contact with them. And you've got just simple stuff, campfires, whatever. So I did add burn gel to this kit. I also added extra nitrile gloves into actually all 3 sections. That way, if I need rubber gloves for something and I'm in this kit, I don't have to dig into this kit to find gloves when I'm using stuff from here. I just kept gloves in each section because they're light, they're super packable. I threw in some stuff like allergy pills. I have really bad allergies. Another thing is hand sanitizer. I don't think this had hand sanitizer in here, and even if it did, it was like the small one, so I added, sorry, wind's blowing, so I actually added a bigger thing of hand sanitizer because it seemed like a good thing to have in here. I also added some more bandages into this kit. I had a bunch of stuff that was from other kits, and I just figured I would add some in here. Like this is just a absorbent gauze compress from one of my other ones, another wrap from another kit. So another thing, so this is your wilderness travel and medicine comprehensive guide that comes with it. Now I took off of this package, there's the pencil that comes with it, as well as the patient assessment form. But then it also had the sheets on all of your drug fact information. That was stapled to the outside. I took that, put it in this book, as well as this has the where to order your replacement stuff. So I just took all that, threw it in that book. Seemed like a good place to keep it. Same with the pencil, the assessment form. If I'm going to do an assessment form because I'm not sure what's going on, probably going to have it with the book. If I show up and I know what's going on, I'm probably not going to dig out the book. So I figured that's a good place to keep all that. The C-splints in there, like I said, I added more gloves into this one because there was not any gloves in there. Now the field trauma pack, this pops open. Here's your removable kit. This is your field trauma pack kit. I will say in this one I actually added a couple different things. I also moved some stuff around in this kit, and I've actually wrote down with a Sharpie on a sticky note what I moved where, and once I'm certain I'm going to leave it there, I'm actually going to write on the bag itself. But one thing I added to this, I got a Halo vented chest seal kit. I put it in here, fits in there really nice. I added extra gloves, and this came with a tourniquet. I actually am going to add another tourniquet. I just haven't added it yet because I'm ordering a different brand. I'm going to actually order a different brand for my EDC bag, this, and I was going to throw one in my wife's vehicle. I'm like, I know I was buying another one. Another thing I threw in here was a breathing guard for CPR. I don't remember this kit having one. I actually threw 2 of them in here. The reason being, in my opinion, it's good to have 2 CPR barriers in any first aid kit. I don't know, if you haven't took CPR training, the thing with CPR is once you get there and once you start, you do not stop until EMT is there or someone else who is certified in CPR is there, and you can alternate to take turns. CPR will wear you out really fast, especially if you're not in shape in the first place, but even if you are in shape, it's kind of out of an ordinary workout, a normal exercise. It's just a different body movement. You're going to get worn out, especially doing it the right way. If someone else shows up and they don't have a barrier, if you have 2 in here, the bonus can be is that as you're giving CPR, if that person says, I'm certified in CPR, we can trade off back and forth. He can have a barrier so that you guys are swapping barriers. Because the whole point is, one, you don't want someone vomiting into your mouth, right? But you don't want to be making out with someone you don't know, or whatever. It's one of those things. Making out with someone you don't know probably isn't the best term depending on where you are in life, but a complete stranger, you probably don't want to go straight mouth to mouth on. So you have a barrier for you. If a second guy pulls up, he doesn't have a barrier, but he can alternate CPR with you. He can get in this, grab himself a barrier, and then as soon as you guys swap, you pull your barrier, he lays his barrier down, and you go. And that way you're not sharing spit with the other guy. Obviously you don't want to share with the person who you're doing it on, but you probably don't want to share with the other guy that pulls up either. If you're packing 2 of these, it's not a concern. That's just the basics of what I keep. Now I'm going to go over real quick, keeping it somewhere secure, not going to get ruined by weather. It's not in the back of your truck. It's not in a toolbox getting smashed by tire chains or a toolbox that slides around inside your toolbox. Also keep it in a place that you know it's going to be. I keep the first aid kit under my passenger seat in every vehicle except for my wife's. My wife's is in a different spot because that's where she wants it, and that's fine because I want it where she is going to know to get it. But the thing with this, so July 4th we were up on the mountain. We had a bunch of family staying by the cabin with us. One of my cousins walked by a piece of metal and she thought she just bumped it, and it sliced her leg open. Not deep, just a nice little slice, but it just started pouring blood. My truck was parked the furthest away. Well, there was one person parked further away than me. They were parked on the other side of me, but I was parked clear out away from the cabin, away from all the campers, and she cut her leg open, and I got up and walked out, fast walked out to the truck, had my first aid kit, and was back before anyone else could even find the first aid kit in the cabin or the campers, because everyone kind of scrambled and couldn't remember where what was and where it was kept and what was where. I walked out, walked back, grabbed that bag, automatically had it open, knew exactly where the bandits were, and had her leg covered. Well, we actually used a little bit of gauze, but we had her leg covered and handled super fast because I knew where it was, I knew where the stuff was that was from it. And that is one thing, is when you do get a first aid kit, go through it, pull it apart, move stuff. If you feel like something belongs in a different spot or would work better, like in the trauma pack, I don't remember exactly what it was, but something in this kit, I think it might have actually been like the combat gauze was in a spot that I didn't think was the best, so I moved it to the trauma pack. You know, go through it, make sure it makes sense to you because you're the one that's going to use it. And another thing is, you know, if you get hurt, know exactly where it's at, and having everything written out on the back of this versus like if you make your own pack for your first aid kit, with everything wrote down in a diagram, you can tell someone, I have a first aid kit under the passenger seat in my truck, or, you know, under the back seat or under the driver's seat. You can tell them where to go, and once they grab that, they can look on here and have a good idea of what's where. It's another thing I liked about this kit versus just building my own. But like I said, make sure it's where it's safe, where it's secure, where it's not going to get damaged by weather. You know, if you go to pull this out and it's been in your toolbox, turns out your toolbox has a hole and it filled full of water because a washer fluid jug broke or whatever, it doesn't do you any good at that point. Take care of it, go through it, make sure it's up to date, get some training, and, you know, more than anything, just think about what you personally do. If you don't ever go anywhere, you know, if you work at a hospital and you live 3 blocks from the hospital and you're only walking back and forth to the hospital all the time, you know, you might be like, well, I don't need that, I'm just walking to the hospital. Well, the chances of someone trying to get to the hospital and going down in the parking lot and you walk up on them because you walk to work, it's a pretty high chance. If you even have just a small kit in your backpack, like, think about what you do, the type of things you do, where you go. I go into the wilderness, I go do guiding, I do a lot of stuff where I might be the only person on scene because I might be hurt myself. You know, a kit like this is great because some of the places I go, I might be the only one, or I might come across another person by themselves, and all we have is what's in my kit. You know, some people don't pack first aid kits, and if you come across a person in that situation, you're going to want as much stuff as you can have, where, like I said, you're not packing this on your back on a backpack hunt for 10 days. Keeping a big kit in your truck can be a huge help. And another thing is, you know, you can take even just like this field trauma pack, throw it in your everyday carry if you're going for a 4-wheeler ride. You know, you can make a smaller kit. I have a small kit in my EDC and in my backpack, hunting backpack, that I keep in them so I don't have to move stuff around. But just think about what you're doing, what you might come across, and kind of think worst case scenario, because you really just don't know what's going to happen. So anyways, guys, we're going to log out of this. I got a ton of videos I need to edit, a ton of photos I need to edit from the archery season, and a ton more videos I need to get filmed. Got some guiding coming up soon, so probably just gonna try and knock out stuff in between now and leaving to go guiding, and after that I've got a couple hunts, so we'll see how it plays out. Anyways, we're gonna get out of here, guys. See ya.